Alrighty, well here's the combi machine. This is the one I took to the mechanic, and like a lot of machines that you'll pick up that are older machines, occasionally, you know, they have actual real problems. But a lot of them, and why a lot of people give up on them, is just due to lack of oil. Or because they've, you know, haven't used them in 20 years and then they finally, you know, give them to an op shop to sell or whatever, or put them on eBay or whatever, you'll notice they're sort of seized, and it's like all the grease is sort of dried up and gone hard, and that's one of the biggest issues you'll face, is just seizing up. And there's nothing that you can't fix with about 20 cents worth of blooming sewing machine oil and a bit of blooming elbow grease. Just turn it over. Now, I took this to mechanic and I knew it was fairly dry because of what I, you know, dealt with when I took the top off. He got right in and oiled all this side up and fairly well oiled the sewing machine side. I got it home and the next day I went to start it, and she would slip a little bit on the overlocker side, so you might have to spin it by hand. So I actually just let it sit and, you know, unplugged it and just turned it over for about 5 or 10 minutes. And, you know, then went to use it, and it'd still slip a little bit when you'd actually, you know, use it under electric power. But I mean, that existed for all of about half an hour for the first day that I went to use it, you know. And it does sometimes still happen when I'm trying to go through some colossal layer of, you know, like 6 layers thick of a bloomin' double hem blah blah. That's still got to fix that. But anyway, the sewing machine side wasn't spot on. What had happened is your little piece that's this little bit there, basically the bit that holds your thread, that was sort of like be at the top, and then it'd sort of be fairly firm, and then it'd go flick and drop to the bottom, and then sort of be at the bottom and be fairly firm and then flick back up. So long and short of it is, most of these machines, particularly the Janomis, and the Huskies do it too. Boom. I think the older grey Husky, the whole thing just lifts straight off. They don't even have a hinge in the back, unlike most of the ones built in the 80s. They do have a hinge in the back. So there's little crankshaft bits and bobs that are inside there that, you know, don't really want to show up too well at the moment. But I oiled all that up again. And of course I got into the bottom here and oiled all that up. What I noticed though, this has been sitting there for at least a week since it went to the mechanics. Now when it first come back, if I try to run it off power, like off, you know, the electric motor, this would sort of jam and the whole little bit would be boom, 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 boom. And the rest of the time the belt would be slipping. The belt was slipping, something chronic. But just having sit there for a week, it seems that all the oil he put in soaked in. So I've done some overlocking this morning, and then I thought, well, we've got to go and get this moving, keep it moving, so it doesn't just turn to shit and seize up again. So I started winding by hand, and I noticed that this whole thing of this little duva jamming up wasn't jamming up. But anyway, I re-oiled it all anyway, and then once I can, you know, you might spin it for 5 or 10 minutes by hand, and then you just run it slowly for about 5 minutes or so, which I've sort of already done, you know, 3 minutes, whatever. And you can see it's all moving fairly well. And then after 3 minutes of moving fairly, you know, all right, it's a bit like a car engine, you know, when you first deal with unseizing old car engines that are cars that have sat for 25, 30 years, you never rev it. You always just let it idle slowly for the first little while, maybe 10 minutes with a car. I give it 3 to 5 minutes with these. Spin it by hand for 5 to 10 minutes until you believe that it is all completely smooth. Then run it at a slow speed to 3 to 5 minutes, which I've actually already done with this. And then go full speed. And as you can hear, no belt slippage. Everything is moving fine. And our little piece at the front that was a problem is going that fast you can barely even see it. So there you go. That's the main issue with most machines, seizing. and you just got to go and find every moving part and put some oil on it, and get yourself a little brush ski. Available in most sewing machine stores, along with the oil. I've probably overdone the oil. It looks spattered a bit down there. And yeah, and then slowly work away, and you'll go from seized to fully running. Now, I'm not saying all machines have that problem, but a lot of machines you'll come across have been ones that haven't been used for more than 20 years. And, you know, this will be your prime issue. And in some cases, it's, you know, they almost gave up on it because they thought the engine was dying, but it was just that the engine was under terrible load due to never having been oiled from when they bought it new. And a bit of oil and a bit of just spinning by hand, and then eventually running off electric motor, and usually moving the bolts on the motor and sliding them down to basically tension the belt up, which has gone slack since 1985, and most of your problems will be solved.